Is Mike. Mike has made a living writing, though sometimes a meager one, for nigh unto 4 decades. His latest project is a book with frequent collaborator Danny Klecko, titled Out for a Lark, who will also be reading for the festival later on. Mike has published over 100 books of stories and other items, including the 540-page Selected Works volume YUKON Gold, Poems de Terre, 1970 to 2010, with a key to the mysteries. He is the co-editor of LIEF Magazine and lives in St. Paul. Please welcome Mike.
My name is Mike Finley. Satish asked me how I wanted to be introduced, and I was trying to clarify Mike, not Michael. I said, just Mike. So now I'm like Donovan and Jewel, a single name superstar. So. How great to see you. Thank you, Satish, for your hard work in organizing this. Isn't this a perfect setting? I'm just in love with it. And I'm in love with my friends. I got Mark there, I got Dave, I got Joe back there. Dottie came, Klecko, and Dar. I know you didn't come to see me, but thank you for being here and being familiar to me. Ethna and everybody, all the great poets. Anyway, thank you. I love you for coming. I'm going to read just 2 things tonight. The first is a story called The Calving. Has anybody been to Alaska and sailed in the coastal waters? And they have the big icebergs, and just naturally they shear off and deposit some of the ice into the water. It's called calving because it's a little bit like a calf being born, the ice tumbling down. And this is a story of me being on a tourist ship with my wife and a bunch of other folks, a bunch of tourists, and we saw wonderful things that day. We saw sharks and orcas and gray whales and all sorts of wonderful cormorants and birds, and at the end we saw an actual calving. And the boat takes people out to see the glacier and to see the calving all the time, but very often they don't get their money's worth. They don't see anything. But in my story, something happens. So we're in Resurrection Bay in Alaska. It's off the Kenai Peninsula near Seward. The toe of the northwestern glacier on the Kenai Peninsula near Seward is blue as a bubblegum snow cone. The blue is the way the light refracts under the pressure of a million tons of freezing and grinding. Still, the glacier looks stunningly wrong that way, blue, as if someone has spray painted a mountain. The passengers on the excursion boat crowd around the railing, snapping and popping. It was much more spectacular last year, complains a woman holding her hat on. The boat has quieted. We are to sit here until something calves and slips into the sea, like a calf being born and tumbling into the straw. An Indian woman with a bright red bindi steps back into the cabin, giggling, "It is too cold." The boat bobs gently. We all stare intently. Several minor fallings occur, shavings of ice and snow tumbling into the sea. "That ship hasn't budged all summer," said the first mate of a 10-story chunk that is skronking away from the main. A knucklehead, standing by the bar, turns from the view just long enough to say, "Maybe if we use some dynamite." And that is when the ice calf chose to fall. And down it slides with a cracking sound, as if the entire ocean had been broken over a knee. A calf of ice, 150 feet high, surrendering like a fat lady in a burning building with a tiny parasol in her hand, letting go and tumbling into the big blue net. And the wave the calf made rose higher than the boat And soon we, who are standing on the deck, absorb the violence of the fallen ship. We are rocking and roiling in its wake. Everyone aboard feels an enormous release in their knees and in their stomachs. And we are enormously pleased. We have seen a mountain fall into the sea, and now we need to get on with our day. Dang, says Goofy, I shouldn't have looked away. It doesn't bother anyone that each calf pushed out of the glacier's haunch happens further up the hill, a sign of sped-up melting. The calving is happening a half mile higher up than it did 10 years ago. Nothing bothers anyone, period. So the captain starts puttering away. The only witness to our great good fortune, a harbor seal. A harbor seal, plopped erect in the blue waters behind us, like a minstrel, blinking and smacking his whiskered lips. And in an English actor's voice, the seal intones, "They took to the sea, but the sea loved them not, and spat them back upon the shore." That's my adventure on the Kenai Fjord. I have one other poem. I was very pleased with that poem. It seemed to bring out the natural drama of the evening, and I felt very confident. I knew I was connecting. I made eye contact with y'all. It was just a glorious, glorious experience for me. And now I'd like to continue in that mode with a poem I've written called "Poet in Trouble." And I was feeling very confident a moment ago, but now as I look around and I look at your faces and I realize you probably have better things to do than listening to me go on and on. And there's other readers here. They want to get up here and do their thing. And suddenly, my confidence, I feel like I'm having maybe a low blood sugar event. It's too soon to push the panic button. But I'll tell you. Oh dear, the papers are starting to rattle. That's not a good sign. I'll tell you, I wish sometimes that as a poet that I wasn't so isolated and that everything didn't have to come out of me, that my view of the universe wasn't the be-all, the end-all. I wish I had someone else to lean on, someone I could rely on. That would be such a relief to me. But in this whole world, is there any such person? I don't know. I don't know.
My brother.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Danny Klecko.
I took the wrong turn. I cut through the airport. I got to the place where you drop off travelers. I almost drove by, but then I saw an old man embracing a woman who may have been his wife. Their moment of separation was telling, touching enough that I turned off the ignition and watched the people step away from one another. On a sidewalk that offers departure to every corner of the globe. If you wait in one place, engulfed in this mob, you'll witness people exercising emotions ranging from despair to elation. I only stayed 7 minutes. People are flawed, people are stupid, they disappoint, and they seldom deserve trust. But if you stand outside an airport where people send the ones they love away, it might be just enough to give you hope. Thank you.
Tag Team Poet Kings of St. Paul, thank you very much. Danny Klecko, everybody. And before I let you go, there's one last poem. It wasn't written by me. Dave Downing here brought it in here with us this morning. It was a status line from a Facebook page this morning. A lawyer friend of his wrote, "Knee surgery today. Lame."